No, I don't want you to help me. I want you to go away. I want you to go away. There we go.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening. We are live already on Facebook just to make sure we would work tonight.
All right, thank you.
Are you guys hearing the musical interlude? Okay, great. Oh, that's not what I want you to see. Okay, here we go. Mhm.
Is it just me or is the music gone?
The music is gone and there's a blank screen on Facebook, but I'm not sure if it's us or if it's another issue.
Okay.
There's an ad. Sorry.
Decisions, and you can get powerful automation tools like our Customer Journey Builder to ensure you never miss an opportunity to turn shoppers into loyal customers.
I don't
So if
pay
you're
for
ready to integrate
Pandora.
your marketing and boost boost sales? Get started today at
I'm
MailChimp.com
not
/smart
sure
marketing.
why.
MailChimp, built for growing businesses.
That was Molly's nice way of saying she wants a raise, by the way.
No, it wasn't. Okay, there we go. That's ready.
Hey, Molly,
Yes.
do I need to be on camera?
No, you don't have to be. I don't think. Chris, does she have to be on camera?
No, she doesn't have to be on camera.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're still waiting on Councilmember Baker.
Okay.
Councilmember Bryant will not be able to attend tonight. Okay, and there's Councilmember Baker. Madam President. Madam President, we are ready to start the meeting. Everyone is here.
Okay, thank you, Molly. I'd like to call this special Reynoldsburg City Council meeting of May 27th, 2020, and the time is now 5:08. This meeting has been called as a special meeting in order to address a litigation settlement. Molly, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Cotner,
Here.
Councilmember Baker,
Here.
Councilmember Bryant, Councilmember Strickland,
Present.
Councilmember Salvati,
Here.
Councilmember Pecoro,
Here.
Councilmember Lawson Rowe,
Here.
and President Jenkins.
Here. Next on the agenda is a motion. City Attorney Shook has requested that this litigation suspend the mandatory referral from committee and go straight to council. In order to suspend mandatory referral, council must pass a motion to suspend. Attorney Shook, would you like to comment on this motion?
No, Council. President. I think that it's pretty self-explanatory.
Thank you. May I have a motion to suspend the mandatory referral of this ordinance to committee?
So moved.
May I have a second? May I have a
Councilmember
Second.
Strickland.
thank you. Is there any other further discussion?
Could I just ask a question on this?
Yes.
Attorney Shook, I know you said it's pretty common sense, and I think to council members we should, but I do think there's community members that might benefit from understanding the purpose of the suspending referral to council. Would you mind elaborating? Would that be okay to have you share that just a little bit more for community as a whole, though?
Sure. So,
Thank you.
this being this being a matter of litigation, we have met more than once in executive session as a full council regarding this matter. So everybody on council is fully aware of what is up on the agenda this evening. And it is unnecessary to have it go through committee and instead be presented to the same full council that is fully abreast of the issues.
Again, just so that there's clarification and making sure people understand what the purpose and moving that forward. That's all. So I appreciate it.
Is there any other discussion from council? I'd just like to thank Attorney Shook for all of his hard work on this case. I know that this has been going on for a number of years, and I just want to thank him for all of his hard work and dedication with this case that he had to pick up when he joined the office of the city of Reynoldsburg. And I just want to thank him for this hard work and that we are finally able to come to a conclusion with this case. So thank you, Attorney Shook, for all the work that you've done on this case. At this time, would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Cotner,
Aye.
Councilmember Baker,
Aye.
Councilmember Strickland,
Aye.
Councilmember Savati,
Aye.
Councilmember Pecora,
Aye.
and Councilmember Lawson Rowe.
Aye.
Madam President, that was 6-0.
Thank you. The motion passed 6-0. The mandatory referral has been suspended. Next on the agenda, item 4 is legislation for emergency approval. Would the clerk please read item 4A?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a settlement agreement of pending litigation and declaring an emergency.
Attorney Shook, do you have any comments?
Yes, and I'll try to be as brief as possible. As members of council are aware, this proposed settlement involves events that occurred back in 2018 and is the subject pending litigation in the Franklin County Court of Common Pleas. Now, the city does from time to time get sued, and ordinarily it's not something that needs to be presented to council for approval on a settlement. And that's because we almost always have full insurance coverage for any potential settlement. So this one is coming to council because there are insurance issues that came up in the case back in 2019 or 2018 when the events occurred. The insurance policy that we had only provided for up to $50,000 of insurance coverage on lost or future wage claims associated with employment actions. And this being an employment action, we were significantly short on our insurance coverage. That is, as council knows, an issue that the administration has resolved. We now have $1 million in coverage for lost and future wages. So this is not an issue that we anticipate will repeat itself in the future. The breakdown of this settlement is that it's a $250,000 settlement. of that amount, the insurance company did agree to pay $142,500. The city's contribution is $107,500, which is why we would need council approval for the mayor to sign off on that settlement. I would note, as has been discussed before, the city's total contribution to this settlement would be approximately less than 10% of what we calculated our maximum exposure on this case to be. In addition, there is a provision in the settlement agreement that would allow the former employee to retroactively resign from the city of Roundsburg. I would note that there is a mutual non-disparagement provision in the settlement agreement. And because of that provision, I would caution council members and members of the administration to be careful in their comments or questions. And beyond that, I would ask council to approve this settlement tonight as an emergency. Thank you.
May I have a motion to approve this ordinance as an emergency measure?
So moved.
Councilmember Salvati,
May I have a second?
Second.
Councilmember Strickland,
Is there any other discussion?
I-
Would the clerk please?
If I
Madam
could,
President, Councilmember Cotner.
Okay,
thank you. Attorney Shook, I apologize. I know you said there, we're limited on what we could say. This court case, though, is public record. People would still be able to look up and understand what the merits and base of the claim and counterclaim and so forth too. Again, as you said, council members have been made aware, but our community whose tax dollars we represent, I just want to make sure they're understanding. And again, I guess I want to tread cautiously about what can be said and can't be said due to the language in this ordinance that we've got.
Sure. And well, I think that, as you indicated, the lawsuit itself and all the documents that have been filed as a part of that lawsuit are available through the case information online system with the Franklin County Court of Common Pleas. In addition, the settlement agreement itself is a part of the agenda packet here. I would note, and I think this is important to note, that this settlement does not involve any admission of liability on the part of the city. Beyond that, as you know, this is an employment action filed by a former employee alleging that the employee was improperly terminated. And I would be careful to speak more on the substance than that, because I do not want to step on the non-disparagement provision.
Right. And that's honestly, that's part of one of the other concerns I kind of had in here, based on everything we've been told about the case, and then, even in his, in the employment records, that disciplinary records are removed as well. I guess I questioned a couple of those things. And I understand that we're still saying the city and the police acted appropriately, but when we're putting those things in there, they just seem to, I guess, a little more concerning to me. And I want to make sure that the full story is shared to our taxpayers who we represent, and make sure there's a full understanding of how the attorney's office got to this, and how city council is kind of where we are.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be difficult to go into the amount of detail in an open meeting that we went into in executive session. That's one of the reasons why we have executive sessions, so that we can be a little bit more open and candid than we can be in an open meeting.
Of course.
And what I would note is that the disciplinary records are still public records, and always will be public records, and subject to disclosure upon request.
Okay. And I know that one important thing for our community to understand is the potential lost wage concern. And that's why the risk of this getting so high is what your office was so worried about between
Yep.
salary, retirement, benefits, everything like that. So that was the kind of the concern that we needed to be addressed with too.
Yeah, we were, I mean, without going into too much more detail, the risk of an adverse decision from a trier of fact for the city was significant, 7 figures significant. So that's why I'm recommending that we accept this settlement.
Okay. Again, I know we've shared it. I know council members have heard it. I just feel we owe it to the community to make sure we're sharing, the reason for going this far with this settlement. And I think it's important for our, police leadership to know. I mean, I appreciate everything Chief Baker's done. And I think that, the police, need to know still. I think there's some frustrations and even in that, making sure they know where we as, council members stand. So anyway, it's hard to discuss it all through an open meeting of all the nuances of there, but I just want to make sure we shared as much as we could without violating the agreement that you've got in place, and try to make sure we're communicating to the community what's happening. So that's why I wanted to ask the questions. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Cotner,
Aye.
Councilmember Baker,
Aye.
Councilmember Strickland,
Aye.
Councilmember Salvati,
Aye.
Councilmember Pecoro,
Aye.
and Councilmember Lawson Rowe.
Aye.
Madam President, that was 6-0.
The motion passes 6-0. This ordinance has been approved as an emergency measure. Unless there's no other further business this evening, this meeting is adjourned and the time is 5:22 p.m. Thank you for everyone's participation this evening and have a great Memorial Weekend.
Aye.